First at noon, brand new details about the Orlando terror attack. President Obama just spoke, saying it appears to be homegrown extremism. We have live team coverage of the massacre in Orlando. Good afternoon, I'm Lauren Pastrana.
And I'm Maribel Rodriguez. CBS 4 anchor Rick Folbaum is in Orlando near the scene of the nightclub massacre. Rick?
To you, and it is one full day plus since the massive massacre at the Pulse nightclub just down the street from where we're standing here, and it has been another agonizing morning. While some families have already gotten confirmation that their loved ones were killed, others are just now learning the news, and so that grieving process for them is just beginning. It's almost too much to bear. As you mentioned, we just heard from President Obama. He spoke just moments ago from the Oval Office. Here's a little of what he had to say.
This is a devastating attack on all Americans. It is one that is particularly painful for the people of Orlando, but I think we all recognize that this could have happened anywhere in this country, and we feel enormous solidarity and grief on behalf of the families that have been affected.
Still very early going in the investigation, but President Obama went on to say that at this point, it does not appear as though the shooter was part of some kind of a larger terror plot. Let me give you the headlines. This is the very latest that we know this afternoon. Again, just over 24 hours since the terrible massacre in the early hours of yesterday morning. 48 of the 49 innocent victims have now been positively identified. All day yesterday, you may have heard us reporting the death toll was 50, but this morning, law enforcement was able to come out and confirm to us that the 50th person killed was in fact the gunman who died in a shootout with police. So 49 victims, one killer, all of them dead. More than 35 families have now been notified that one of their loved ones died at the club. The city of Orlando is continuing to process that information right now and to get in touch with those families not far from where we're standing. The FBI is talking about more contact that it has had over the last several years with the shooter, whose name is Omar Mateen. The FBI says that it has known of Mateen for years. It opened several investigations, but closed them because apparently he didn't do enough to cause concern about a threat, and he didn't break any laws. We're expecting to hear from the director of the FBI, James Comey, any minute now. We'll take you live to his press conference when that begins. But my colleague, CBS 4's Joan Murray, is here with me in Orlando with more on what we learned earlier today from law enforcement here in Orlando. Joan.
Yeah, Rick, a few hours ago, ATF, the FBI, even Governor Scott was here along with local law enforcement to brief everybody what was new in the investigation. And we got a lot more detail on exactly what it took to contain this gunman.
One by one, the bodies of the victims were hauled away from the Pulse nightclub Sunday night. Painfully and slowly, anxious family members are learning whether their loved ones died in the mass shooting. Authorities say 29-year-old Omar Mateen, armed with a semi-assault rifle and handgun, opened fire in the crowded club 2 a.m.
Officers made entry while the suspect was shooting, engaged in another gun battle with the suspect, forced him to stop shooting and retreat to the bathroom where we believed he had several hostages.
Eventually, police crashed an armored vehicle into the building, and Mateen was killed in the crossfire. Sean Royster escaped all the chaos.
They were like dragging bodies, people that were wounded, just to get them out of the way. Yeah, probably the worst feeling I've ever felt in my entire life.
The FBI is investigating this as an act of terrorism after Mateen called 911 and pledged his allegiance to ISIS before he started shooting. The FBI says twice before they investigated Mateen for alleged terrorist ties, but nothing was proven.
The weapons have been traced to the last known purchaser, which is the shooter. One of the weapons was also, the third weapon was also found in his vehicle. We are still working on tracing that weapon as well.
The FBI is sending in a shooting reconstruction team to get as much forensic evidence as possible.
We have received tremendous outpourings of support from across the country, from our colleagues and law enforcement. And I can tell you that it's very heartwarming to all of us who wear the badge and carry the gun on a daily basis.
Now, the FBI says they're just beginning this investigation. They hope to learn a lot more by examining that forensic evidence of exactly what went on with this recreation. And they said they are also not ruling out at this time that perhaps the gunman had some sort of help, and they're asking anyone with information to contact law enforcement.